Monday lecture, and today how to construct scenario. Okay, before that, let me share a few example of scenario. This is what I told you on Monday. For example, here, sketching or drawing of future city. You can see how architect or designer they illustrate snapshot scenario, meaning that the end results of or a snapshot at one time in the future. So how the future will look like at a certain point of time in the future. You can see, or you can browse later, for example, future city, future living style, future condominium. Okay, let's see. This is the imagination of artists or designer of the future uh, real estate or how people will live in the future. You can also see here, this is a space for sunbathing. They will include also indoor gymnasium, swimming pool, and so on. Children playground or compound with lake or this is an example I told you. Yeah? Which actually, yeah, they want to advertise um, the condominium and living style of the people. And we can see here they put a man and his girlfriend in front for the promotion or to show off that this is the living style of the people in the condominium. And we can see the plantation of tree. Uh, yeah, sometimes it's irrelevant to the main purpose of having that advertisement. Um, this is a family lifestyle, another advertisement showing a family uh, of a daughter, parent with a daughter walking, and this is another uh, uh, family, so with the condominium at the background and a swimming pool with the kids, son and daughter. And this is another show of having a BMW luxury car in front of the condominium. And this is what I told you last um, Monday on the Monday lecture. can browse more and see how the imagination of the designer or artist for a future snapshot scenario. Okay. This is examples of sorry, where is it? Also, the imagination or scenario, a kind of scenario of the endpoint or end result at a certain point in the future times. So the designer they and also artists they can come they have this illustration. So to some extent, some of the producer now they are already uh, make investment for the feasibility study of this kind of project or this as I said on Monday that this type of scenario also stimulate the creativity of the designer and artist to look uh, what the future phones will look like in a certain point of time in the future. As we can see, this is a flexible uh, phone which you can flip and you can also that this is another interesting innovation having bracelet as the terminal you can see. I do not know whether it's true or not. I read somewhere that Israel has already come up with this bracelet phone. They use this bracelet terminal, so they can be portray the display on your hand, and you can have the touch screen display on your hand uh, or the input device. And this is another example of a scenario or snapshot of future phone. So use bracelet, and this bracelet can portray or display device on the palm top. And also they use touchscreen input device. Uh, if I'm not mistaken, Samsung has come out with this kind of uh, flip phone. You can change uh, the phone. You can flip. It's more flexible or flexi and also flip this phone. You can check. You can browse in Google. This is I think uh, if not, I'm not mistaken, I watched somewhere the advertisement. more or less something like this. So in near future, they may improve, or other company as well may introduce this kind of flexi home. So it's stated here it's future affordable phones, but if I'm not mistaken, Samsung already introduced in the market this flexi phone. Maybe I try to browse and show you with you guys. This is examples of uh, scenario or future phone. As you can see, this example of question. And you can just Google to see uh, more related to your concept of your for your PT 2021. You can Google and uh, identify and investigate more. Your assignment basically is online searching or surfing. You have to your information and then to filter which relate or relevant to your study or your concept of PT 2021. Okay. Back to the PowerPoint that I shared with you last week. How to construct scenario. Yeah. How to construct scenario. First step is to identify or the or the construct in your scenario. Topical dimension, topics, or what subtopics you want to in your scenario. So you have to identify and list down what aspect you want to show off in your illustration or in your description. So you have to list the main topic or the most important topic, and then the subtopic or less important or subsidiary topic. So you can uh, have this organized topical dimensions. So each topic will represent something. So you may have one dimension which focus on specific topic, most important topics, your study of your concept, or you may also include multi dimensions. However, I will explain later. If you want to include multi dimensionals or multi dimensions of or topic, many things you want to include, many perspective you better to have several sets of scenarios instead you cram or you put all in one scenario. So uh, yeah, for one dimension is fine to include in one scenario, and for multi dimensions or multi topics of what you want to include in the scenario, your scenario, you have to plan uh, for several scenarios, several sets. And the second step, identify users' interest and style for presentation. So you have to know who are your users or and uh, or the purpose of doing that scenario, who is your audience, whether they are a technical audience who can easily understand your presentations or non-technical audience. So you have to identify users and their interests. You want to predict, expect, for example, your future or your potential buyers. For example, like the one I show you about the man and his girlfriend wearing the swimsuit nearby the pool. That is advertisement for Singaporean. Uh, so it's want to show off to the Singaporean the exclusive lifestyle of the people. So the target market or the potential buyers are expected for Singaporean people. Maybe it's not suitable for Malay people wearing that, mostly Malay Muslims wearing that swimsuits. It's not this kind of advertisement is not suitable, especially during the Ramadan time. Yeah. So you have to know your users, uh, potential buyers, and also their interest and style for presentation. Whether it's a moving picture, whether it's you want to use illustration, sketching or drawing, or just narrative or description. Number three, step three, you have to specify time frame. As I told you, there are two types of scenario. It's, timeline, future histories, or a snapshot of the future. The timeline or future histories is a milestone. I told you last Monday on the Monday lecture. So your scenario should illustrate or depict a section of milestone, maybe in annually change, yeah, from 2021 to 2025, 2020, 2030, and 2035, 2040, and so on. That's historical. A snapshot is at one point of the time, maybe at uh, 2020, 2025. Have uh, your imagination or your uh, snapshot of 2025. The goal or the purpose that you want to show off by the year 2025. This is the results of your future product or product technology, the year of 2025. So you have to specify the time frame. Specify technology and societal context assumption for each technologies or sub-technology. You should specify your assumptions. For example, improvement or future developments or improvise. So you have to include or to list the potential change in near future, maybe potential change in 2020 by the end of 2021, 2022, 2025, and so on. So that's assumptions. We call it technological assumptions, potential change, and also maybe new incumbent or new emergence of new technology or sub-technology along the timelines. So you have to make to list this assumption. And also another aspect when you to consider assumption, also societal contextual assumption. Societal contextual assumptions such as what's happening in the society right now, social and economic change, political change in near future, such as for example, right now we are facing COVID-19, and also they plan for antivirus, and they have forecast the slope or the changes of this, the spread or diffusion dynamic of the spread of the virus. Maybe after 1 year or second, 2022, 2023, or 2025. I do not know, but you have to search on Google for the cause and effect of this society contextual, such as COVID-19 and so on. And also economic change, because lately we are actually in terms of government or country or state financial situation is we are exhausted. We have used our reserve, and for many things to support the for the antivirus and to support the living of the people, under B40, M40, and so on. Many subsidies has been given to the people. So the financial situation, this is the situation of the country, and also the economic situation of the people, income per capita, and so on. So many people, they lose their job, unemployed, whereas previously they have money, they have the purchasing power, and many of them they have some reservation in terms of spending money for consumption, for buying, and also the fluctuation of the fuel price, the price of petroleum, the world price of petroleum may also have some cause and effect to the cost and pricing of the future product in the market. including your PT, including the transportation and distribution as well. That's we call contextual, political as well, as we know that now the government change just the first quarter, the first government PH has been administered and then changed into PN Parti Bersatu Parti Nasional, and then lots of interaction now, and we see they use any uh, political tactic to see the young Diputuan Ago and so on, and in media and so on. That's the political situation of the country, which also uh, uh, may have some impact or effect for your our project of PT. So we have to list down assumptions. This technological change and society or societal change, economic, politics as well. Number five, set out key dimension, one or multi-dimensionals. So you have to select one. Maybe you want to focus to highlight just one dimension, or multi-dimensional by using several set of scenario. Maybe one, the first one, second one, third one, and fourth one may illustrate different scenario, different perspective of the future. Or maybe, as I told you, uh, you can have optimistic, uh, most likely to happen, or uh, yeah, based on available data, you predict something in near future will continue the same or normal situation as what's happening now. Or you can also have a set of pessimistic the, by including the unfavorable conditions, the worst condition. So that we call it pessimistic situation that maybe happen in near future. We do not know. Because it seems like now there are so many uncontrollable factors or variables due to the change of the world. Not only change in Malaysia, not only change in the uh, buying or customers purchasing styles or living or choice of the people, but also its effect uh, globally, um, which of course uncontrollable. We are not under our control, such as the oil change, fuel change, and we can see at the end of last year the price down of the oil. Yeah? Not much effect of the price down of the products price. But when the price of the fuel increase this year, yeah, starting January, March, February, March, and April, you can see the change of the commodity, such as the price of chicken. Yeah, Last year, the highest price of chicken per kilo, the ceiling price, 7 ringgit, and now 7.99 per kilo, or 8 ringgit, yeah, the ceiling price. And many sellers complain because they got the commodity from the suppliers. The suppliers set up the price, not much return or profit for them. Since the government set the selling price of 7.99 or 8 ringgit. Now you are at home, you can check with your parents or your mother, or you yourself can go to the shop to buy chicken. Not only chicken, many other commodities as well. um, okay, so you have to set key dimension, uh, whether you want to focus to highlights in one or multi-dimensional. Decide on numbers of scenario and emphasis, whether you want to use one or you want to use a set of 3 or 4, and what to emphasize in each or in each set of scenario. Then you start build or construct and present the scenario, whether it's a descriptive, narrative, illustration with picture, snapshot of future. You can also copy and paste from futuristic picture in the Google. Of course, you have to do search, and you can find illustration, picture, drawing, sketching by imaginative or uh, creation or creative. You have to search, have to surf and filter, get the most appropriate or related or relevant to your concept. And number 8, check for utility, whether it match user needs. First, you have to confirm whether it fit the criteria of the user needs. As we have put in number 2, user interest and style of presentation. So you have to check whether it suit to the style and presentation, and also interest of the users or the target buyers, customer or potential buyers. And then number 9, check the validity, whether it's valid. Does it predict what it claimed to predict? That's we call it validity. Whether your scenario really foresee what it's supposed to forecast based on the assumption, the technological change and contextual change you include in your assumptions. Does it really illustrate or present in your illustration or drawings or sketching, including quality of information, logic, makes sense. Does it make sense? And also you have to bear in mind, not just simply imaginary, or call it, what we call it, just imagination. Plausibility, state of the art, and etc. Okay. Too much imagination, like moving picture, enemy, yeah, you can see, you can watch many moving enemy, Japanese enemy or animations by Japanese cartoon. Uh, Too much imagination, loose of logic or make sense, such as there's one TV series, SpongeBob SquarePants. It's illustrate the living. Actually, it's yeah those uh, SpongeBob and his friend Patrick the dummy. Who else? The crab, the owner of Krabby Patty, the squirrels, and who else? The other character, and those character are imaginary character um, of the cartoonist or the designer. However, the characteristic, it, each character represent style or characteristic of people, living people. We can, if you watch, yeah, I assume that most of you have experience watching SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants. I sometimes watch with my kids. It's represent characteristic of people, especially the what we call the name of the tentacle, the Squidward. Yeah, Squidward, the tentacle. It's obviously present a typical uh, characteristic or personality of a person, a living person on this world. And we can see SpongeBob as SquarePants as well. It's represent a typical personality. Yeah. Inshallah, if we have time, we will come with the. Most of you already answering the MBTI test. I also has browsed your results, but it seemed like for the time being, sorry, that's for other lecture, the MBTI. You can also try. Sorry, I mistake with the group. You can the MBTI test to know the personality and each character represent in SpongeBob's case. They represent different characteristic or personality of the people, but using uh, cartoon, imaginary cartoon, and we know that Mr. Crab is always concerned about the money. Yeah? Another characteristic. Uh, that's to one extent is too imaginary because using cartoon imagination in anime as well. They to some extent they lose about logic and make sense. That's talking about checking the validity, yeah, whether it's fit or not to the purpose of having that forecasting scenario techniques. Some advice when you are uh, think your forecast, be imaginative but also realistic. as I mentioned just now, be imaginative but also realistic. You have to be logic and make sense as well. To consider, we call it, um, using your left brain as well, not just your right brain. Like right brain use more uh, emotional, and left brain use more rational. So you have to be rational in your forecasting for scenario. Okay? Be imaginative and also creative, but also rational. Understood technology but avoid falling in love with it. Yeah? Understand. Normally, technologies when they are too much, too concentrate or too focus in their technology, they turn into uh, uh, too much. Uh, Falling in love in is, so avoid uh, this situation. Be rational as well. Many, uh, for example, in UTM, researcher, of course, they want to promote, with what they like, what they have discovered, and so on, and they become obsessed with the product technology. Uh, and this scenario technique we have to consider. Be rational as well, stand the market and purchasing choice of the people and purchasing power of the people. Not only because of being obsessed with our PT, then we want to pursue too much of what we want to pursue. So we have to consider the interest of the market, of the customer or potential buyers as well. Some producer, they force the people due to too much obsess of their PT. Yeah? Focus the right important parameters or dimension, as uh, I explained just now. Get the context right, dimension right. Identify institutions involved, social economic influence, complementary and competing technology, etc. So you have to consider as well. That's why this is one of the purpose you have to do the investigation of technology and sub technology. Yeah, you have also to study or to investigate complementary and substitutes competing technologies. Yeah? Or maybe soon, not now, but soon will be introduced, or we call it emerging technology, which may effect of replacement or substitution or complementary. You have to consider when you there's instruction number 4. You have to study instruction number 4. You have to look in the instruction for phase 2. Instruction number 4, you have to investigate more of the technology and sub-technology, including complementary substitutes, placement, or competing technology and sub. Challenge the stability of the context. You yourself have to think, to challenge of the future change, the technological change, and also impact of socio-economic influence. Beware of the core assumption drag. Drag meaning that change. The assumption also may change. As one of the steps just now, you have to list your assumption, technological change, and also society and economic, political. You have to challenge, meaning that you have to test uh, how far is it true? Is it under control, or yeah, how many percent, for example? So you have to challenge them, all the assumption. Beware of Zitgis or Zitgeist. Geist is like poltergeist, movie. It's a German language. Poltergeist. Poltergeist means spirit. Yeah. Zeitgeist, Zeit time in German. So Zeitgeist, spirit of the time, spirit at a time, or conventional way of doing things, style of the business and so on. But previously, at one time, we have face-to-face business transactions, and then just suddenly change. Many now the business transactions using multimedia, yeah, e-wallet, e-commerce, Alipay, PayPal at 7-Eleven, online banking, which was previously many people use credit card. It's still conventional. Still, many people use credit card in US, in UK, and some places in Europe. But in other places, change to debit card. The interest for credit card is more expensive. Use your credit card, it's more expensive. Debit card, and debit card also uh, more expensive compared to online banking. PayPal at 7-Eleven, for example, if you want to book room or apartments or hotel for a debit card, you have to pay cost of transaction for about 45 ringgit or more with credit card. And using online or PayPal, maybe the cost of transaction uh, that's also affect the choice of the people or the choice of the potential buyers. So ZIP gives conventional way of a time, like in Hong Kong, in China, Taiwan. Most people they use Alipay for the transaction. Want to order something, they use that. So challenge conventional wisdom. Try out alternative perspective. Not allow to just mirror the prevailing mode of the moment. Now, for example, buying of goods, yeah, people even grocery or can purchase like during Hari Raya, people buying tudung, buying baju raya, buying uh, some people even buying Maggie, buying ketchup, yeah, tomato sauce and so on using Lazada, Shopee, and they just delivered front of the house. No need to go out due to COVID-19. You have to queue in the shopping complex, scan, and also taking risks or mixing with the people. Many other zitgis, we call it conventional way of the time or the belief of the people of that time of doing things. So in technology also there are some this you have to browse to know from the Google. Next, keep the time horizon short and frequent. Lower cost forecast should be conducted rather than more substantial but less frequent studies, and keep the forecast alive. So here, better to have a several set or a few set of snapshot and make the time horizon short. If you have timeline, maybe for annual uh, year 2020, 21, 2023, 24, and 25. Instead of leapfrogging. What is meant by leapfrogging? Lompat kata. Because most of leapfrogging project, innovation project in the world, seldom with success. Like Malaysia at one time, they want to expedite the national innovation system. So they want to have, for example, at one time, a big project under multimedia corporation, under Malaysian uh, Scientech or something, Malaysian uh, Malaysian something, and they want to have Malaysian PC, personal computer, Malaysian processor, but it's generic. You can just get processor or PC from other supplier, but want to have indigenous, we call it, original from Malaysia. Of course, in terms of knowledge, it's good. In terms of technical knowledge, and we can expand from that. However, they come up with a leapfrogging strategy. So it's nowhere. Lompat kata always go nowhere. Yeah, they make forecast for not only the year of 2020, 2020, 2020, but jump to 2050. So they predict that in future, what the customer look like, the buying style or the buying and the purchasing power and so on. So as I told you just now, it's seldom is success and it's go nowhere. That project has been stopped. Having Malaysian PC, having uh, Malaysian unique processor seems, even we have UTM lecturer come up with their own, they already get patent for the processor, but no, what we call it, no angels to sponsor for further investment to commercialize. Of course, we call it technical success. Of course, they innovate, successful innovate that product. But to market, another story. They need investment. They need company. They need fund to sponsor their project. But no takers, no buyers till now. Bit frustrated. That's, we call it uh, market success. So market, in terms of market success, is unsuccessful story. Commercial success in another stage when we have written, we manage to to market our product, but no return. Maybe we can have the break even, meaning that we cover the cost, but no profits. That's also unsuccess story. So the time horizon should be short, frequent, meaning that many snapshot. If you are snapshot or duration of the timeline should be short for each duration. Our cost forecast should be conducted rather than more substantial but less frequent studies. And keep the forecast alive, make it alive. Relate to what's happening now. You just expanding or extending what's happening now. Do it simple. Next, study the most critical uncertainties and how they will respond instead of using sophisticated models. Sometime the construction or the constructor, they want to show off, so they use sophisticated model for the presentations. But make it simple. You can use, as I told you just now, many short time and more frequent scenario. Use multi-approach consisting of convergence from diverse approach with complementary strengths. Convergence means that you can synergy, you can combine and come up with one good scenario. Perform sensitivity test analysis. Deliberately estimate how the forecast would change if assumed initial condition change. Influential variable levels, functional relationship or milestone change, and highlight uncertainty. So this is a sensitivity test. You can predict, you can include in your scenario, uh, you can foresee those changes that will occur if the condition change, variable change, a functional relationship, milestone change as well. And you should highlight this uncertainty. And next, check for utility and validity. Check the users, whether it's fit to the customer interest, style, and so on, and validity, whether it's forecast what you are supposed to forecast. Okay, that's uh, the PowerPoint notes. And last, I that's another things that I want to share with you about the instruction of the assignments. Just take a few seconds for you. Okay, where is it? You have to read this instruction. There are 7 requirements. 1 to 7 you have to include in your phase 2 project. Yeah, and observe number 1 and number 2. I already explained last week about the technical performance, function, application, utilities, and so on. Study more in this number 1, number 2, and number 3 application as well. And I did explain to you how to use pattern search bookstore, but I did not explain how and why. Yeah, what actually want to capture this pattern search. uh, what you want to include in your PT 2000. So you have to read instruction number 4, to study the technologies, the sub-technologies relate to critical function of your product technologies. You should outline all this technology, which are the most important technology for your concept. And you also need to read the attached guideline for
Bye.
Thank you, Doctor.